Channel brings you the neo-dimensional training with a tab, digital visualization. We have the best-in-class EWM trainer in the market to deliver the quality education and share his experiences. Our approach and methodology to the training is unique. Let me introduce our methodology we believe in. Real-time case studies. We understand that many of our participants did not get any opportunity to visit the warehouse to understand the real-time scenarios. Introducing the real-time business cases every time and building the discussion on available solutions in EWM make the participant easier to understand and remember for life. Visual presentation. We believe human brains understand the process visually faster than the text. That is why our platform to explain each and every object on visual slides and the screenshots. Interactive methods. To keep the session alive, we always believe in interactive sessions and encourage the participants to ask as many questions and share his views and expertise. That really helps and keeps other participants to gain more knowledge. Hands-on experience. We always believe in action rather than words. Assigning the task every end of the session, support the participants to run the practice seamlessly, preparing for the mark tests, etc. This is where we believe. And finally, the strength of our training. Mentoring even after the course. Our service is unique because we believe in after sales, meaning we always be in connect with the participants even after the course completion. The participant can always be in touch with us via WhatsApp or email. Thank you for watching and let us get to the agenda today. Hope you enjoy our presentation. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and follow. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay. So likewise, like what I was saying, even though SAP EWM is embedded in S4HANA, but still it is considered as a separate component. It has its own set of programs and objects. And whatever the transactions we do on S4HANA programs, it has to be connected and get updated in the EWM specific tables also. So that the EWM programs, like whenever you run a transaction in EWM system, it should fetch that required information and execute the further process. Okay. Are you guys following what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in order to do that seamless updates of table field information, like updation of this S4HANA transaction and EWM transaction data, we have to integrate first with both the systems. Okay. So these are the S4HANA and EWM. You see in the box, basically these are the systems. Let me recall. Okay. Here you see the master data. Like first thing we discuss is on a master data. Okay. So you see here we have business partners and planned shipping points which are being referred in S4HANA. Okay. So these are going to be, in fact, in the decentralized system, yes, we are going to replicate to the EWM system, but in embedded system, it will be as a common data and planned shipping points which are being referred in S4HANA. Okay. So these are going to be, in fact, in the decentralized system, yes, we are going to replicate to the EWM system, but in embedded system, it will be as a common data. So this redundancy is reduced in some factors. Okay. So let's say earlier in ECC system, we used to create a vendor and the customer, but now we will create only the business partner. So this business partner, this master data, business partner master data will be used by EWM also. Okay. See, business partner, he can be anybody, like whoever you interact in your supply chain. Let's say you are also business partner to your company because you are providing service. Even though you are an employee, you are one of a business partner role. You have one role, like you are an employee role, but technically to speak, you are a business partner who is providing a services and generating a revenue to your company, to your employer. So likewise, whoever involves in the supply chain, okay, and contributes his whatever the role, he will be considered a business partner. So in supply chain, technically, he can be a customer, he can be a vendor, he can be a forwarding agent, he can be a transporter, he can be a carrier, he can even be an employee who is like, the pickers. They are all business partners. So based on your, role, you considered with a different name. But in currently in the supply chain, we have these many names, like we have a customer, vendor, forwarding agents, transporters, carriers, because we deal only with the logistics, right? You understand now?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So we create earlier in the previous versions, they used to create separate customer, separate vendor, and you have a separate T codes in ECC. But now S4 HANA came up with a concept called business partner concept. It is not a new concept; it was already there in a supply chain box. Okay, they used to have a business partners. Now they have introduced the same topic in S4 HANA now. So you just create. There is only one T code called BP. So whatever the business partner who involves in your supply chain, you create by using BP, business partner, and based on the role, what role does he plays in your supply chain, you extend into the business role and you maintain the data against your organizational elements. Okay. So so these business partners also used in EWM system also. Okay. So in which way are we using it? We will know. So these are the, see, before defining your organizational structure, you will have to maintain certain master data. Okay. So before defining the EWM organizational structure, there are some of the data which are required. Okay. Some of the master data which are to be required to be created in S4 HANA to proceed and to define the organizational structure in EWM. So we will see in where of this we are going to use it. And also we have something called plant and shipping point. So what are these plants? What is a plant? See, the plant can be a manufacturing plant or it can be a distribution center also. See, basically you represent a physical entity in your SAP system, and you, like, he can be a manufacturing plant or he can be even a warehouse, just to like a distribution plant you call. So the plant basically plays or major roles in the organizational structure in MM. So the valuation of any product will be considered or evaluated at plant level. Okay. So this is one of important criteria of your organizational structure. Okay. And you have something called shipping point. This is also you have to understand. This is also one of the organizational structure. In logistic execution is one of the organizational element. And since we are dealing with the SD, and logistic executions, this EWM is connected to multiple modules. So we do foresee a couple of organizational elements, and we do need to understand this. What is the business representation of these organizational elements? Okay. So what is the shipping point? So okay. So let's say you have a manufacturing plant and you do manufacturing. Okay, and you store the data, or you there is a storage where you store the your products. But again, is that manufacturing plan can accommodate to ship the products to customers? That that eligibility will that manufacturing plant can get only you define and assign the shipping point to those plants. Otherwise, system considers it is just a manufacturing plant. You cannot ship the goods to the customers. Okay, that's the rules you have here. So whenever you're replicating these information to EWM, like, in fact, they considered with the different names here. You see, the business partner is considered a business partner, but this plant and shipping point, they are being created as a supply chain unit and the locations. Okay, so these are also the, because you see the terminology changes here, but it has the same meaning, in fact. Okay, the same kind of a business perspective. We will come across on this when are these locations are being used. The locations are basically used to define the routes. When, let's say, from your plant you want to ship the goods to the customer who is in Hyderabad, and your plant is in Bangalore. So the system, in order to do that, you first have to define a route. Okay, route from from Bangalore to Hyderabad. So this is a route where the truck will be traveling to deliver the goods to the customer. So those routes can only be defined if you have locations. So that's the reason you define a locations in the EWM. Okay. So each master data are being used differently. So you will come to know all this information soon. And you see the material master and the batch master. So here you see the material masters in S4 HANA are called with a different terminology called product. So whenever you deal with EWM, it will be named with a product. Okay. And you see some of the transactional data. So transactional data is basically whenever you replicate this transactional data, it will create with this information in EWM. Let's say you have inbound delivery created in S4 HANA, which is going to be replicated to create an inbound delivery in EWM. Okay. And if you notice here, the outbound delivery will be named as an outbound delivery order here, not an outbound delivery, because there is another document called outbound delivery, which is for a different purpose. So now tell me, what are these documents, inbound delivery and outbound delivery? What is these documents as a role in your supply chain?
To plan a goods movement.
Yes, true. Right, Amrik, you're right. See, basically, see, in a simple way, we cannot create unnecessarily the increase. We cannot increase creating a number of documents. You know what the business users they are really, they will say like, you know, why do I have to create these many documents when we have a system to automate it? So every document you create, you have some meaning of here. Okay, so that's the reason for creating these delivery documents like inbound and outbound is for planning. So let's say, for example, you might have heard about this ASN, right? Advanced shipping notifications. Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. See, you will have to understand this basic and fundamental information to going forward, because you know that makes your life easy. Okay, so let's say you have requested a stock. Okay, you have sent a purchase order to your supplier, and the supplier has planned. He will plan that when he is going to deliver the products to you. So in prior, he will say he cannot be surprised. Like in the morning, you went to the warehouse and there is a truck waiting inside. I don't know what truck, what is that, for which purchase order does it belong to, and you have planned for something and you don't have people who to unload the truck, and then you immediately have to plan your resources. Like there can be a lot of conflicts happening. So that's why the supply chain has to be organized. So what you can say, like, you know, you can tell your supplier that, hey, just give me a prior information when you are going to deliver it, so that on that day I can plan my resources. Right? Agreed?
Yes, yes.
Guys. So that planning, in fact, he sends as an advanced shipping notification in SAP. It does creates as an inbound delivery. So, and that in that inbound delivery, you will have a prior information like when is the delivery happening, who is sending a stock against which purchase order. All that information is stored in your system. So whenever as a daily activity, this warehouse supervisor can come to office and he just runs a report for tomorrow. So before going today, before closing a day today, he will run a report tomorrow saying that, okay, these are the deliveries I'm going to receive it tomorrow. So I have to plan these many resources and this is the stock I'm going to unload it. So for that, I have to make a space in my staging areas. Otherwise, it will be a surprise every time for him, and there will be a chaos all the time. Let's say if you have a 10 or 15 trucks coming in, you cannot manage with the prior information, without a prior information. So that's why we do have these delivery documents. In the same way, outbound delivery. Outbound delivery is the one which you send an information to your, to your customer. So in inbound, my customer sends me, and now in outbound, I send to the customer with the prior information. So these are the reasons why do we create this planning your delivery. So when you work with EWM, so these documents also has to be replicated. So it does create inbound delivery, and outbound delivery is created an outbound delivery order. So the same it also has the same meaning in EWM. So what you are doing, you are not sending any information to anybody, but your warehouse supervisor will plan accordingly. So these documents are visible in his report, not these one. These are limited to your plant and storage location level. To much deeper side, the supervisor will execute or will plan accordingly on these documents basically. Okay, so that is why we have these documents and replicated to EW. Okay, so you see the transactional data. So we have something called SMQ1 and SMQ2 transaction codes. Okay, so these are basically are used to monitor your transactional data. Let's say, for example, the inbound delivery in S4HANA has been replicated to EWM, but for some reasons it has failed. It could not created a document. So in that case, you should know what error it has thrown and why it has not been created. So in order to find out the reasons and the errors for why the system has not posted these documents in those respective systems, you will have some monitoring reports called, you can call it by using this transaction codes called SMQ1 and SMQ2. Okay, we will see all this in our practical sessions. Okay, so you see here, this is the basic organizational mapping. You will have to do it in order.
In previous screen, you were saying how the master data is communicated to the EWM, right?
No, master data you do create it separately.
We have to create separate in S4HANA and EWM separately, right?
Yes, not all the data. Like as I said, the business partner is a common. data which can be which is available or can be accessible for the both systems, but the data like extension of warehouse related information of your product, or like the locations, the supply chain units, all these you are going to create it manually in the EWM system, which S4HANA doesn't need it. Okay. Few of the data whichever it is considered, like say as I said, like a business partner and material masters, they are all created in S4HANA. And business partner, you don't need to create it, it is accessible by EWM also. But the material master, yes, you have to extend it to your warehouse and maintain it because it is EWM specific. Okay.
As a one doubt.
Right? It is
Yeah,
centralized.
Yeah, you're telling based upon the organization structure, you're going to define the master data along with the transaction codes in SAP.
Mhm.
Those transaction codes are generic in SAP, or it's based upon the user requirement. You can create any code, or we should follow any standard SAP codes.
Which one you're talking about? The creation of master data?
Yes, yes, yes.
No, in fact, these are the standard T codes. They are SAP provided T codes. So you can
Okay.
utilize it. You don't need to create a custom T codes. If it is really, there is some specific requirement, yes, you want to do it, but it is available. Why do you want to create it?
Okay, fine. Clear.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So here you see, as we have discussed about a couple of our organization structure, okay, and also like MM related and S4 HANA related structures and EWM structures. So here you see, in order to have the seamless transformation or seamless communication between ECC, like your S4 HANA and EWM, you have to have a mapping of these organizational elements in both the system. It has to be correctly mapped. Okay. Only then the system, whatever the document it gets created in S4 HANA, it will be correctly created for that particular organizational element in EWM side. And whatever the document you created in EWM, that gets replicated back to S4 HANA, only then it is correctly mapped. So this mapping, you see the whole screen, you can see my screen, right? So this mapping of this screen is very much important, and to understand better, for integration of your S4 HANA and EWM. Okay, so let us discuss from the beginning now. So here you see, first thing we create a plant and followed by the couple of storage locations. So these are the organizational elements of which module? Ashman? MM, right? So in MM, so what are the storage locations?
ROD and AFS.
That's true, but what is it? What does a storage location is?
The place,
Can
there's a
anybody?
place where the product is stored.
Right. So the quantity updation. So in your plant, wherever you're storing a stock, it is basically at the MM level, it will be a storage location only, right? Whenever you want to receive a stock, you always receive at storage location level. So you will always have a storage location for a plant. If you want to stock your product, yes, you need to have a storage locations, right? So these plant and storage locations are created at MM level, and you will also create a component, okay, an organizational element called warehouse. This is a basic requirement you want to create for your integration with the EWM. Okay, so this is one of an organizational element you will create in S4 HANA, because see what happens is, since this EWM has been like evolved recently, so they didn't the existing programs and existing structure of this ECC or S4 HANA, they didn't disturb that. They want to build over to that instead of disturbing the existing one, which can give you any kind of error, you never know. So in the previously, whenever you want to implement your warehouse solution, you will always create warehouse and assign to this plant storage combination, for which the system will understand that yes, this storage location is basically a WM managed. So that is the reason you are going to create one warehouse here in S4 HANA. But the rest of all that other organizational elements, you do create an EWM. So please understand this. Okay. So these are the basic organizational elements you are going to create in S4 HANA. And also you will have a shipping point. If it is a product is to be shipped or received in that particular manufacturing plant, yes, you need one shipping point assigned to your plant. And also you will create a couple of business partners. Basically, you do create these business partners because they are not just a normal business partners like customer or vendor. They are the business partners, are the master data which are created to represent your plant here. Okay, in the deliveries, basically in the deliveries, few criteria, few organizational elements like a shipping point, they are determining based on the customer master data and the few of the material masters master data. So in order to determine the shipping point, you do need to have one customer master. In fact, it is a dummy customer master which is basically representing your plant. It's not the real customer. Okay, so if you, whenever you work with the deliveries like inbound delivery or outbound delivery, you do need to have a customer master and the vendor master. That is how the structure of SAP is, in order to determine the shipping points or the goods receiving points. So in the same way, here you are creating a business partners, customer or the vendor, which represents your plant. They are basically a dummy business partner. Clear with this, right? These organizational elements. So what are these? We are going to create it. So we do have a plant and storage location. Storage location is basically where you receive a stock, you store the stock, and you also create one warehouse in S4HANA just to extend and for the system to understand that yes, this storage location is a WM managed, and also a shipping point is created which allows the plant to receive and ship the goods. And you also have a business partners created, dummy business partners created to represent the plant. So why do we create these dummy business partners? For the transactional, like, for the deliveries to determine the shipping points or the goods receiving points. And followed that, you are going to create manually the supply chain unit in EWM, and you will assign it to your plant. So this supply chain unit, so the plant will be called as supply chain unit in EWM. Okay, the supply chain unit can be a plant, manufacturing plant, or it can be a shipping point, or it can be anything. You can create a distribution centers likewise. You can create it as a supply chain unit in the EWM. And the same way, you have something called business attributes. As I was saying, right, the plant is a manufacturing plant, and in order to receive and ship the goods, you should have a shipping point, right? In the same way, in EWM perspective, it is determined, the system will understand by these business attributes. So when a supply chain unit is created, it understands that it is just a manufacturing plant. But when you extend its roles by assigning a different business attributes like INV, means inventory, it means that this supply chain unit is not just a manufacturing plant, but also it has accommodation to store the goods also. And here you see the business attributes SO and RO, means sales, shipping office, and the receiving office. It means that this supply chain unit, it's not just to manufacture or to store it, but also it is accommodated to ship and also to receive the stock at the warehouse. Okay, so these are the business attributes you will extend it. And the same way, the business partners are being assigned to this external identification. So this external identifications, basically it does represent saying that basically this is CRM 004, CRM 011, and CRM 002. They are basically the codes which represents customers, and 011 is the vendor, and 004 it represents the plant here. Are you guys following it? You guys hear my voice, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying here is, see, technically this is a business partner. So what it is a customer. So they are assigned with CRM 002. So in here, let's say my customer is basically, my vendor is not just a normal vendor. It is a plant basically representing here. So for the system to understand, you assign this identification. We will see in the master data. Okay, when we create this information, we will see that. Where do we assign it? So, but theoretically, you try to understand this. Yeah.
So Azam, if this was a business, if this plant was also receiving goods, it would also have the CRM 002.
Go ahead. What's your question?
My question is, it would also have the external ID of CRM 002 then. If it was a vendor, and it was a plant, and it was a customer from, I don't know, a sister plant, for example, would have the 3 external IDs.
I'm not sure. Why do we have that 3 IDs? How can a vendor be a customer?
Well, let's say you're receiving material from another plant, a sister plant, via STO or something.
Yeah. So for that, you do have to create different master data. You cannot have a same data which can be called as customer and the vendor both.
Okay. No. Okay, let's see when you create the BP then. Okay.
Yeah. But a system doesn't work like this. You will have to create separate business partners. If you are working with STOs, you do create a vendor and master separately.
Okay, we'll probably look when you create it. I was thinking when we create the business partner for the plant, why don't we just recreate it with the same name as the plant?
Mm-hmm. You mean the nomenclature?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can do create it.
Mhm.
It's the settings actually. You can always do
The number
create it if you
80s,
wanted
okay.
to. It's a terminal. It's a nomenclature you define. If your company demands like this, yes, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or he might be saying plant as a vendor in STO case.
Yeah. Now, what you are saying that this we will create one business partner which has both roles, customer and vendor.
Yeah.
So basically, it doesn't work like this. We do have to have different master data. But anyways, you can try. If it works, it's a good information for me also.
Yeah.
Okay. So here you see again, once we have supply chain units created and business partners, all this information is being created. Now we are going to create a warehouse in EWM system, and we are assigning this warehouse to our WM, the S4HANA WM. So now what happens? You see, as soon as you create any delivery document, so in the delivery document, you enter a storage location. Plant is automatically triggered from your purchase order because you create inbound delivery with reference to your purchase order. Okay. And then you enter a storage location. As soon as you enter a storage location, system will realize that this storage location is basically a WM managed. And this WM is not a normal warehouse solution, but it is a EWM managed. So what happens? System will understand that this storage location is being EWM managed, not a normal warehouse. So that is where this mapping has to done for the system to understand. Okay. And now you are going to assign this warehouse to your supply chain unit. So when you assign this, so what system understands that this warehouse is basically is the plant, which can hold the stocks, right? Based on this business attribute. If you do not have this business attribute, you cannot assign the supply chain unit to the warehouse because this business attributes tells you that this supply chain unit can play a role of warehouse also. Okay. Clear? So this is basically the mapping we are going to do in the system now. So I'm just giving you a theoretical here. And also under this warehouse, you will assign a couple of roles like, custodians, default party to entitled, all this information. Basically, what are these? You see, let's say a warehouse, you are going to assign three things here. One is a supply chain unit and custodian and the default party to entitled. So these are basically the business partners. So that's why you're creating a business partners to here. Okay. So here what you're doing, the stock, whatever the stock you're storing in this warehouse, that it does belongs to your plant. So that's what you are assigning by using this default party to entitled. Okay. And the custodian it is kind of a role, like, like say when you have a third party logistic companies, okay, in those, even though you will outsource your warehouse operations to somebody, third party, that is why you call it as a third party logistics. Let's say, for example, you have an office in Bangalore and you manufacture the goods, but most of your customers are in Madhya Pradesh, Indore or somewhere, and you do not have a facility there. You cannot store the stock. So what you do, you will hire somebody to take care of your warehouses or to manage your transportations, to manage your orders. So because what you do, you will transfer the stock from your plant in Bangalore to Indore. So there is somebody who is taking care. He's basically not your company, but he is a logistic provider. Like he's called a logistic service provider, LSP. So that's called basically a third party logistics. So that in that case, he will be a custodian to your stock. You understand? Okay. And going forward, we have something called availability groups. So these availability groups are basically representing the storage locations in a EWM. So remember and understand that each storage location, so whatever the storage locations available in the plant, and if they are EWM managed, there will always be one availability group created in EWM which represents the storage locations. Are you clear following it? Rashmi, you there or you left? She left or what?
No, sir, I'm here.
You're there? Yeah, tell me, like, do you understand?
You mean that the same role, whatever storage location, ROD and AFS, will be same as in availability group, right? In EWM.
Yes, yes. So each storage location has one availability group.
Like the ROD, this will be considered as availability group 001. Like that, separate, right?
Yeah, separate, right? You don't have storage locations in EWM. You will only have availability groups. So ROD is 001, AFS is 002. If you have something called NFS, you will also have availability group 003 likewise. And also you have something called the stock types. So what are these stock types? So basically, you know, they are the stock categories in S4HANA. You know, what are the stock categories? Have you heard about this unrestricted stocks, quality stocks, blocked stocks? Anybody?
Yes. Yeah, we heard it.
So, yeah. So what are those basically? In what is an unrestricted stock?
Means those can be used immediately.
Yeah.
And
What is a quality stock?
Those are under quality inspection in a quality department, and those are on hold. Those might be defected or those might be passed until and unless it is a quality check. That time it is hold at quality department.
Right. So likewise, you're right. You have even though you have a stock, you received a stock under storage location, but they are categorized based on its nature of attributes, like whether the stock is good to go, good to consume by production, then it is considered under unrestricted stock. Whether the plant or the supervisor has a doubt on it to whether to use it or not, so he will put it under quality inspection. He says let the quality department verifies it. And let's say if the stock is damaged and he doesn't want to use it further, so you can always block it. Or if you have any questions whether to use or not, until then you get clarification, you can always block the stock. So these categorization of the stock which is under storage location in SAP in S4HANA, the same way in EWM you call those as a stock types. The only difference you see here, it is always a combination, like the availability stock. And F1 means basically, you see the stock here, these are standard names given. There are basically something called a pre-configured and predefined. Pre-configured means SAP has already configured it, has given a model company or model, model of this any warehouse, and it has named already. So it's always better to follow the names. Only in certain cases, if you have a custom requirement, you do give a separate names, but you can always use a pre-configured names. So technically, you have, you see, F1, F2, Q3, Q4, B5, B6, R7, R6. Like they are SAP's pre-configured names which is given. So in your delivery, whenever you're creating a delivery in EWM, you will see only this one, F1. So you have to remember by heart. Going forward, you keep practicing, you will remember this. So basically it will tell you F1 in your delivery. So what does it mean? So F1 means it is an unrestricted stock, belongs to ROD. And when you say F2, it is an unrestricted stock, belongs to AFS. And Q3 is unrestricted stock, quality stock, belongs to ROD. And Q4 and P5, B6 likewise. Understood?
Yes. So F means free, Q means quality, and B for block, and R for
restricted.
Okay, restricted and block. So it is there is a difference.
Yeah. See what happens when you use batches. Okay. So in the batches, you usually, there are two options. Whenever a batch is getting created, either it will be created in unrestricted or a restricted. So you can always create in restricted stocks also. In fact, it is like, they have stopped it using this batch for now. Only then when they come back with the clarity, then they will move it to unrestricted. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So it is related to batch.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So you will see whenever a batch is created, you will see a batch in restricted stock. Okay. So basically, even tomorrow, let's say, for example, you have another storage location called NFS, then it will have a different stock type name. It cannot be F2. So this is very important. Okay. Very important to understand. So whenever you see F2, you should get into your mind that, okay, this is basically AFS stock. If tomorrow your business requires some new storage location like NFS, then the stock type will be F3 here. So F3 is basically, let's say, unrestricted stock which belongs to storage location NFS. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let us come back here on this availability groups. You see here as the same thing what I was just mentioning here. You see ROD is a stock type, and here you see there is very important thing and non-location stock types. Right, you see here these unrestricted stock of ROD is connected to stock type of EWM F1 via this FF. So you see here the FF, QQ, and BB, they are basically a predefined nomenclature. So the system, you cannot create a new location stock types. Basically, this represents the stock categories in S4HANA. So that's how the system will understand that, see, based on this assignment, this unrestricted stock in SAP EWM, you assign F1 to FF. So then only system understand that basically this F1 is an unrestricted stock, and since it is assigned to availability group 001, so it is an unrestricted stock of ROD. That is how the relation is. This is very important for you to understand. It's little inside, little deeper, but it will be very helpful for you. You following it?
So non-location storage type, is it mandatory? Whether
Yes.
F1 is connected to FF?
It has to be, yes, it is mandatory. Otherwise, system will not realize what is exactly this. Okay.
Oh, FF is connected to the ROD here, back in the S4HANA?
Yeah. You see? No, not here. No, here no. Not in S4HANA. Only these represents are EWM only. So this is a predefined. So you cannot create it in the background. It is connected. So system has connected in the background, hard coded in the programs that unrestricted stock means in EWM it is FF.
So it is a constant. Means in each availability group there will be FF, QQ, and BB. Like in
only the
002.
system will understand. This is whether,
Yeah.
see, you can always have Q3 to Q3 here in under F1 and F1 under Q3, but whatever you can use it. But system will only understand when you assign these things. If you assign
Okay.
QQ to this F1, then system will understand that yes, it is a quality stock, not unrestricted stock. So based on this non-location stock type, system will understand what exactly under which category that stock comes in your storage location.
Okay. So it's like act as a middleware. We have
It
to
is a
pass through
connection.
this. Yeah, it's
Yes,
connect.
it's
Just
connecting
for the-
point from your
Yeah.
S4HANA.
It's for the key then, isn't it? To create the key.
To create what?
The key, to determine
Yeah, it's a key to
the
determine.
link between the stock type
True.
and the storage location.
True. So you cannot define it. It's a predefined. SAP has already hard coded in its programs. You cannot create it anymore. Only that you have to use it. Okay. The same way, we'll come back on this two storage location concept. So what is this? It's Akshay you asked, right?
Yes, I asked.
Yeah. You see here, basically ROD means received on dock, and AFS is available for sale. So when you go back in our previous slides, what happens? Okay, let me open this slide. Okay, so here you see what is happening here. I received it GR zone and sent it to quality inspection, and repacking is done, and finally I'm placing it here. Until and unless I place the stock here, I cannot use this, right? I cannot commit on somebody to my customer that, okay, it is available tomorrow, or I can deliver it by today night. I cannot say that, The reason why is that it is passing through all this activity. You never know where it gets delayed. And somebody is like, delaying it, and you cannot commit to your customer that, okay, by evening or by evening at 9 o'clock, I can deliver it. You can only commit to the stock which are already available in here, not this stock which is coming. You never know when it comes, right?
Yes, yeah.
So for that, what SAP has did, it has SAP EWM. It is a new concept. It has introduced two storage location concepts. So what it does, even as soon as you receive in your warehouse, you have to show up, right? You have to show up that, okay, I have received the stock. As soon as you do the GR, the stock is visible in your storage location, and also it should be visible in your warehouse. So that's why you say it is an ROD, received on dock, but it is yet not to be used. That is, it's not available for sale yet. Yeah, I agree it has received it, but it has to undergo certain activities until it is arrived at my final bin. I cannot commit to you. So that is why you have two story location concept. So as soon as the goods receipt is staged, and until then it will be under a F1 stock. Means F1 means what?
F1, it's an unrestricted but ROD.
Yes, unrestricted but is in ROD. And then what happens? And you do a repacking activities or deconsolidation. These are all in interim areas. And finally, on some point, as a point of time, it has reached to 002 availability group, final bin. And immediately, as soon as it reaches, system will trigger a background 311 movement type in the background. You don't need to do it. It is like inbuilt solution in EWM. As soon as it is received in F1. So the point here is all the standard storage types, like all the final bin storage types are under availability group F2. So whenever the stock comes into a final bin, it will trigger a 311 movement type in the background, and automatically system will show up in your AFS. And now this stock is actually you can plan and you can commit to your customer or to your planners. That's why you have two story locations here. In fact, SAP has given you an option. It is not necessary or it's not a mandatory for you always to have this. It is just been provided to have more visibility and clear planning. You can always have a single storage location also. SAP doesn't mind. Okay.
Okay, it's then like stock to stock transfer, story
Yeah,
location to story location transfer,
location transfer. Yes.
but through
311.
warehouse operation.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Here,
So the same way.
before the part available in the final bin, that will be considered as a F1. Once it is get received in the destination bin, after that it will change to F2, right?
Can you repeat again? Yours, it's a wrong statement.
Like,
Can you tell again?
If the product is in process, it is not reached to the final bin yet. So before that, it will be considered as a F1. So once it is get reached to the final bin, so after that the product will come under the F2, right?
True. Right.
Then that will be ready to sell that product after F2.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So the same way, the quality stock also Q3 to Q4, and then from ROD to AFS. Same B5 stock. It is received as B5 first, and then from B6 it will trigger it to block stock in AFS. So these things happens in the background. You don't need to perform a separate step, by the way. Okay.
You mentioned movement types in ERP. How do we understand what movement types will be triggered in ERP for an EWM activity?
See, these are basically based on your first thing is that it's based on the experience. And in the system, if you want to find out, yes, there are certain configuration screens where they are configured. Because it's a very deep. Actually, it's very difficult to go into those screens and find out each record to where you are assigning it. But yes, these are the standard movement types which will trigger basically. So there are certain BAPIs in the background. So it's specific specific BAPIs which will be triggered in the background whenever you do this activity, and it will call these movement types in the background automatically. Okay. Okay. So let us
to the S4 back after the
I'm sorry?
F2. After the product change it to F2, how it will get communicated to the S4HANA
yeah, as a BAPIs. There are certain things called in the background you have a PPFs. Okay, post processing frameworks in EWM, which calls BAPIs in the background. So it will call these function modules or BAPIs in the SAP S4HANA. It will call these transactions like 311 movement transactions, Migo transactions. Okay. Okay, so organizational structure, I think. Okay, so let us first let us go with this integration. Let us complete this integration. Okay, now you understand, right, about this integration part. Let's go one by one. Let me create a plant, right?
Is it possible? I guess in the real world, it's possible for a plant or a warehouse to have multiple shipping points. Let's say you've got one for really heavy goods,
Yes,
which require a
yes, you can
special
have it.
transport vehicle, and you have a different shipping point for normal trucks.
Right. Yes, they are basically considered. See, the shipping points are determined based on your loading points. Okay, loading groups we call, as you said, right? Like there are small products, big products, some products which can be loaded into small trucks manually. But some trucks are very big and big pallets, which can be operated only by using a forklift. So both are different shipping points in your plant. Yes, you can always have multiple shipping points.
Okay.
Yes, this is possible, but in the standard, you can only have 1-to-1. If you want to have many, you have to go with the baddies.
Okay.
Let's see, why is it not disconnecting? Can you try, Amit, from your system?
Yeah. Okay, I'm on the server, but I can't connect to the SAP system.
Right, you have the same story here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me disconnect and try again.
Okay, now it's up. Yeah.
It's on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's available.
Okay, so first, what are we going to create now? Can you visualize your slide, Rashmi? Plant, right? So here you see, I'm going to share this server to you guys. Okay, so please use the the model company which starts with AZ. Okay, whatever the object you see here, which is started with AZ, those are created by me. Okay, and this is, however, a dedicated system for us, so no one is going to disturb it, however. But if you want to create a new plans, new storage locations, or new whatever the new things, you refer to the objects which are created with started with the AZ. Okay, so I have already created a company code, all those FI related activities, so you don't need to create it again. You only focus from creating the plant. Clear, right? So I'm going to create from plant AZ01. You see, this is my model company. So always use these model companies, right? To AZ02. Execute. So always create no. You don't want to transport the number ranges. Okay, don't do that. So it is copying it. Okay, so the plant has now created. So go back and define plant. So I'm going to change certain yeah. So 0 plant for AZ02. Save. Okay. And then I'm going to create the location. No, I don't want it. So I'm going to create one sales organization, separate sales organizations. AZ01 to AZ02. See, very fast, right? S4HANA. Previously, it used to take so much of time when you're copying it. So I don't want to create distribution channels and all this. It's fine. So under the materials management, I'm going to create a storage location. So this is my plant AZ02. So since I have copied it from AZ01, so the storage locations are also copied here. So I'm not going to create this. Maintain purchase organization. Okay. AZ01 to 2. So these are, see, I'm not going see much about this. These are just follow what I'm doing here. These are all MM objects. So EWM consultant doesn't have to concentrate much on here. Let us focus more on our EWM organizational structures. For now, I'm just creating a, this one, what you call. What is that? So I have
Yes,
storage
for yes for
locations. Now I'm going to create a warehouse, right? So go to enterprise structure, definition, and logistic execution. So define copy warehouse, right? So I'm going to create one. So copy it from EZ1 to EZ2. Okay, so you guys try your own nomenclature. Okay, don't use AZ1 for now. Okay, so the warehouse is also copied now. So now what are we doing? We haven't assigned this, right? The shipping points also have to be created. So let's go back. So there is now define check shipping points. So I'm going to create a shipping point here. So copy AZ01 to AZ02. So I've created this required structure. Okay. 0. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for assignments. So I have to do a plant company code assignment. I think it should have done because I'm copied from the model company, right? So it should have copied automatically. See the company code AZ01 to AZ02. So it is already assigned. And then sales distribution. So I have created a new sales organization. So this is also assigned, and you have to set up a sales area. That is very important in S. So it is already there. Sales area is AZ02, 10 and 00. See, if you don't understand, if you don't want to do more, so you can always use with my same model company, and you can start creating a new storage location and do the warehouse. Okay. Do the warehouse setting. So here you see what do we have? AZ02, what is this D0? I don't want this.
So it looks like every time a plant is created, it's added to the existing storage sales organization.
Yeah. So because you're copying it, right? So
Yeah.
whatever the entries available in the previous plant, previous sales organization, it will be copied.
Yeah, because I think Deepak created DG01.
You create Deepaka, okay.
Deepak, yeah, Deepak.
So I'm assigning AZ0 to my company code AZ01. And save. Okay, so purchase organization to client. So I'm going to create one. In the logics execution, so you see here assign warehouse to plant. And so this is an important configuration, you need to do it. Okay, so copy, and the plant is what? Is it 02? Is it 02? And the warehouse I created is AZ2, right? Copy and save. Are you guys following it?
Yes. Yeah.
So assign shipping point to the plant. So find my plant is to make anything, must select an object. AZ02. So this is my plant, and this plant is assigned with so many shipping points. So I don't want to, or still okay, it is assigned to some picking location. That's fine. Okay. So they have assigned to some picking location. So, but we will use only our shipping point AZ02 for our determination. So now what all we have seen here? So we have created a plant, we have assigned the storage locations, and we have created shipping point and assigned to the plant, and also we have created a warehouse and assigned to our plant. Next is that we will create a business partner. So here it's not necessary you do create two. You can always have a one business partner to represent. For now I'm going to create one customer, okay, to our plant to determine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a customer here, because that customer can be used for my STO also. So so how do we call the customer creation? What do we create if we want to create a customer?
Business partners.
Partner.
Yes, business partner we create. So
So
let's go to
vendor will come into picture when we are receiving, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just right now I'm just wanted to create one customer, okay, just to represent my plant. So where it is going to assign, I can show you in some time. So I'm going to create a business partner. So here you see you have to select the grouping here. This is like account group. When you create your customer master, vendor master, you have account groups, right? The same way for business partner, you call it as grouping here. So please select this grouping AZ01, okay? So I'm going to create a business partner which represents the plant. So starting with AZ0201, okay? And you see create a business partner also. What I'm going to create, I'm going to create a customer here. So I'm going to create here customer create. So company customer represents plant, right? AZ02.
Sir, why we use this grouping here?
Yeah, see, these groupings are basically they used to control these screens. So it controls your creation of a master number ranges, the mandatory fields. All these control can be done by using groupings. Okay. Only if you assign the grouping, then only you can create your business partner, whether it is an internal number range or external number range like this. Okay, what is something like. So I give a plant address only. It's like Bangalore. Okay, and now still it is showing an address as this, so I give English. Then address is maintained, so I'm going to extend to my sales views. So I'm using a new sales organization, right? AZ02. It's 10. Yeah. So here you see the shipping condition. This is the shipping condition which helps you to determine the shipping points and goods receiving points in deliveries. This is why we do create these customers for plants. Okay, so I'm saving it.
And you will check the partner functions later.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll work on that hopefully. I'll update you. So I've created one business partner. So next is what we are doing. So I'm going to create one supply chain unit in EWM box, right? So I go back to, it is also one master data. So here you see in S4HANA, it is embedded, right? So you will show up somewhere in logistics. You see SCM EWM. You guys see, right? In here, in the master data, I create a supply chain unit. So what I'm creating a supply chain unit is AZ02. Type is the production plant create. So description, it is a plant AZ02. Enter. And here I'm giving a business partner name, which I just created AZ0201. See here alternatives. In here alternatives, I'm going to give a business attributes. So if you remember, what are the business attributes? So it can be the production plant, can be a warehouse, and it can be a shipping point, right? SO shipping office, and it also can be a receiving office also. RO. So likewise, you see here, there are so many business attributes here. Based on your business perspective, you can do activate it. Like you can use the doors, stock location, like there are so many. But now we will focus only on these things, right? So save. Company, plant AZ02. 02.
So supply chain unit is a master data. Master
Data for EWM.
Okay, and it is not a config level.
No, it's not a config level. This is a master data.
Okay.
Okay. So
how
even
many,
the business partner, yeah.
How many supply chain unit we can create?
For a warehouse, it is
yeah.
always one, right? It is always one.
What's the?
If let's say, for example, it is a third-party logistic company, let's say, like DHL or FedEx, they support multiple plants, right? So in that case, you can always have as many supply chain units under your warehouse.
Okay. So okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Yes, got it.
So what next we did supply chain units, and we have assigned this and business partners. I think we don't need in S4HANA. These are basically used when you do a decentralized EWM landscape. For now, I don't want to create this. Let's see if it works. It's fine. Otherwise, we'll come back on this. And you see here, we are going to create now a new warehouse in EWM. This is an actual warehouse. Okay. So I'm going back. So into SPRO. You guys are following the paths, right? Rashmi, you're good, right?
So in the same S4HANA, you came under the extended warehouse management system, right?
You see here a new node. In normal ECC, you don't see this one. Now in S4HANA, it is like embedded with these nodes. So SCM EWM, and I'm going to create a new warehouse. So if you want to create a new warehouse, go to cross process settings, copy warehouse number. So what I'm going to copy from is AZ01, right? And decentralized warehouse, I'm going to create a new warehouse AZ02 and copy.
Since it is available everything in the same screen, then it is a centralized system, right?
Available in what? In the same screen. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it has copied now.
If we have the two system, then it is decentralized. Right?
Yes, exactly. You got it, Rashmi. So here I'm going into master data. So I'm changing the name Z02. Okay. Save. So going back. So now what I'm doing now, I have to do is here you see. Okay, go back to the screen now. So I have to assign this SAP like S4HANA warehouse to my EWM warehouse so that system should understand that this warehouse, this storage location is WM managed and this WM is EWM managed. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to assign this. So where do I'm going to do it? So just follow the screens here in the down integration with other SAP components. Go to extended warehouse management and basic settings for EWM linkage, right? So here you go. So you see configure EWM specific parameters. So here you see this EZ2 is an EWM managed, okay? And setting for I think here, I think if it is yeah, here you see assign warehouse number to your EWM warehouse number. So my warehouse number is 2. Save. Okay. So this assignment has done. So in the first screen, what I did, I made the system to understand basically AZ2 is not a normal traditional WM, but it is an EWM managed, and this is the EWM which is in in the EWM system is basically AZ02, which is assigned in a second screen, right? So next, what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to assign the supply chain unit and business partners, party entitled to dispose to my warehouse number. So where I'm going to do it, again, I'm going back into this navigation, go back. Okay, so here it come down in logistics. Yeah, here you see in SAP EWM, master data, assign warehouse number. So here, which warehouse number? AZ02. So here you are going to create a new entries. What is the supply chain unit which he created? AZ02, and party entitled to dispose is AZ0201. Enter. Right? So data has connected, and this warehouse is assigned to your specific supply chain unit and the party entitled to dispose. And next, what we do? And the availability groups, right? So now I'm going to create an availability group.
Avam, you didn't assign the custodian. Was there a
No, I
reason?
didn't do it, but I don't want it because I'm not doing any third-party logistics, right?
Okay.
I'm fine with default to entitle. If you want to create it, yes, you can also assign. But in my business case, I don't want it. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to see this availability
Is this
groups.
mandatory party entitled to dispose and custodian? Is it mandatory, or we can leave this?
Yeah, if it is one-to-one relation, yes, you will have to maintain it. Otherwise, every time in your transaction, you will enter it manually. System will ask you. But it is one-to-one, like one warehouse connected to only one plant, then yes, you can give these entries. Okay. So now I'm going to assign the availability groups. Here you see inter cross process settings. Not in here, I think. Yeah. Interfaces. Go to interfaces, ARP integrations, goods movement. You see map storage location of. Okay, so before this, you will have to enter some information here. In master data, let me check. Here. Here you see assign warehouse number from logistic number. So this is also one entry. Basically, you will have to do it. For, you know, as I said, right, the previous selection which I did, if it is a decentralized warehouse, but if it is centralized warehouse, yes, you will have to enter this one also, which the assignment with your EC, like S4HANA warehouse to your EWM warehouse. Did you guys follow it? Are you clear with this, what I did now? And also you're assigning your business partner to a plant. Okay. AZ022. So these are the basically, you see the local system. Basically, if it is a local data, if it's a centralized EWM, you will have to maintain all this information. And now you're going to the goods movement, map goods store location from ERP system. So I'm going to map it here now for my ROD execute. So now plant AZ02 to storage location AFS, and the the plant AZ02 and the storage location AFS does represents to 002 in AZ02. Okay, in the same way AZ02 ROD in the warehouse AZ02 and 001 and copy, right, save. Okay, so this ends the configuration. So I hope we have configured correctly. We can only know when we this is stock types are already assigned, however, in the standard. You don't need to make any settings for this. However, I'll show you where are these stock types basically in the next sessions. Okay, so I hope this setting is correctly maintained. We can only understand when we replicate the delivery documents. For now, I'll stop it here. Okay.